revealed. Incredible moment as black waiter spoke German touching note, and 10,000 tip changed his life forever. In the heart of Chicago, a bustling diner buzzed with the energy of clinking silverware, sizzling griddles, and laughter weaving through the air. There stood Marcus, a 30-year-old waiter with dreams as vibrant as the neon lights flashing outside. He wore a smile that could warm the coldest nights, despite juggling 3 jobs to support his single mother and younger siblings. Each smile was a shield against the prejudice and indifference that often clouded the eyes of the patrons who came and went, too often dismissing him as just another faceless server. On that rainy evening, a lively group of tourists filtered through the door, shaking off droplets and scattering cheer like confetti. Among them was John, an Army veteran with a keen interest in languages, who had spent years in Germany. As the group strained to translate the menu's offerings, Marcus bent down to help a fellow employee, effortlessly slipping into fluent German. The sound of his voice was like a warm song in the heavy air, catching John and the others off guard, their surprise lighting up their faces. "Did you just?" John asked, excitement bubbling in his voice. The other tourists leaned in, the initial hesitance melted away, replaced by an eagerness to connect. Marcus beamed, the warmth of their interest igniting something hopeful within him. The conversation flowed, and for the first time that night, Marcus could share not just his skills, but his dreams of culinary school, painting pictures of pastries and spices, of meal aromas drifting through the halls of possibility. As the meal wound down, one of the tourists pulled out a worn notebook and began to write. The diner was alive with chatter and laughter, but in that moment, time stood still for Marcus. He caught glimpses of appreciation on diners' faces, and whispered conversations of admiration wafted around him, like the tantalizing scent of fresh coffee. When the group finally left, the atmosphere shifted. The air hummed with disbelief. A 10,000 tip presented like a golden ticket rested on the table, folded neatly, an act that sent shockwaves throughout the diner. Gasps and cheers erupted, and even the gruffest customers found themselves standing to applaud the moment. Marcus's heart raced, a mix of joy and pure bewilderment coursing through him. He had always served, but now they were serving him something beyond money. They were offering hope, kindness. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Snippets of conversation filled Marcus's ear as he processed the unexpected windfall. "He deserves it," one voice said. "More than anyone," echoed another. The tourists revealed their intent to invest in his culinary dreams, a way to bridge the gap between struggle and success, igniting a fire of hope inside him. This wasn't just money. It was a lifeline, a chance to prove that kindness could win out over prejudice. But as Marcus looked at the smiling faces surrounding him, a tight knot formed in his chest. The weight of expectations loomed large. Would this incredible kindness lead him to the fulfillment he craved, or was he destined to battle the biases that had shadowed him for so long? As he stood on the brink of change, the dreams of his past danced tantalizingly close, leaving us on the edge waiting to find out if the kindness of strangers could truly save his future. Marcus stared at the tip on the table, the crisp bill shining like a beacon of hope amidst his everyday struggles. The excitement still buzzed in the air around him, but he felt a strange mix of joy and anxiety twist in his stomach. He had spent so many years just getting by, pouring every ounce of himself into his work. Now, it felt like he stood at the edge of a cliff, staring out at the vast unknown. "Are you okay, man?" Jake, one of his co-workers, broke through Marcus's thoughts. He leaned against the counter, eyebrows raised in concern. "You look like you've seen a ghost." Marcus chuckled softly, though the knot in his chest refused to untangle. "Just thinking." "Thinking? About what?" Jake pressed, curiosity alighting in his eyes. "About what this means," Marcus replied, gesturing toward the tip. "This isn't just money. It's a chance I never thought I'd get." The words stumbled out, raw and unguarded. Jake nodded, absorbing the gravity. "You've earned it, man. You've got talent. You deserve a shot." Deep down, Marcus knew that everyone saw something in him he had begun to doubt. Talent, vision, potential. The weight of their belief felt heavy now, yet invigorating. He envisioned classrooms filled with culinary magic, bustling kitchens, and himself standing at the forefront, creating art with food. But with that vision came an overwhelming fear. Would he fail? That night, as he locked up after closing, Marcus rolled the tip in his fingers, feeling its softness, the promise it held. He stepped outside into the cool night air. City lights twinkled like stars above, illuminating a lonely path ahead. He took a deep breath, trying to mask the uncertainty creeping in. The next morning, surrounded by his family, he shared the bizarre twist that had come into his life. His mother's eyes widened with disbelief, then filled with tears of joy. "This is amazing, Marcus," she explained, pride radiating from her voice. "You can finally pursue your dream." His siblings rallied around him, their excitement infectious as they cheered him on. But underneath their cheers, Marcus felt a voice whispering doubts. Were they expecting too much? What if he couldn't live up to their hopes? Still, he couldn't ignore the deep urge pulsing within him. He owed it to the tourists, to himself, to step boldly into this new chapter. That afternoon, he made a call to a culinary school he had eyeing for years. The conversation flowed easily, filled with enthusiasm. As he hung up, a mixture of determination and exhilaration filled his heart. But the true test had yet to come. After hanging up, Marcus was struck by a sharp pang of anxiety. Knowing he had taken the first official step, the fears bubbled to the surface again. What if he failed to fit in among the other aspiring chefs? What if he couldn't keep up? As he paced in his small apartment, he wrestled with a whirlwind of emotions. He could almost hear the doubts echoing louder than the cheers from moments before. Just then, the familiar sound of his phone ringing broke the silence. It was John, the veteran from the diner, the one who had initiated this wild chain of events. "Hey, Marcus. How is it going?" John's voice was bright, filled with encouragement. "I just wanted to check in. I can't stop thinking about how amazing that moment was at the diner. Have you thought more about culinary school?" "Yes, I did," Marcus replied, feeling the weight of his decision pressing down. "I called them, and I'm really considering it." "Considering it?" "You've got to go for it," John urged. "You have so much to offer. Just remember, there will be challenges, but you're not alone. You've got people rooting for you." Those simple words ignited a flicker of resolve within him. But as they chatted, seeds of another question took root, a haunting one. Would those supportive voices drown out the doubts when the storm rolled in? Marcus glanced out the window, the city bustling with life. Excitement surged alongside his uncertainty. He took a deep breath, knowing he stood at the precipice of change. What awaited him beyond the horizon, in the next chapter of his life? Would he seize this chance, or would fear hold him back? The next day, the sun pierced through the curtains of Marcus's small apartment, illuminating his dreams, yet shadows of doubt lingered at the edges. He rolled out of bed, the weight of the world pressing down. The echo of John's support still hummed in his ears, but it wasn't enough to silence the turmoil inside him. Taking a deep breath, he glanced at his phone. He had opened a group chat with his family, an excited string of messages already lighting up the screen. His siblings shared links to recipes, and cooking tutorials, enthusiasm radiating through the words. But for every cheer from them, Marcus felt the pressure swell. "Are you ready, bro? We can't wait to see you in action," echoed his brother's message. Support turned to pressure in his mind. What if he let them down? Before he could let the doubt spiral, he forced himself to move. He had a plan, a culinary school tour laid out for that afternoon. Standing in front of the mirror, he adjusted his clothes, once crisp and clean, now wrinkled with uncertainty. How could he portray confidence when he felt anything but? As he made his way to the school, Marcus noticed the bustling streets around him. A sea of faces, each with their story, each fighting their battles. He felt a strange kinship with them, strangers navigating life in a city that never rested. Maybe he was one of them now, seeking his place in the chaos. The culinary school loomed ahead, its facade modern and sleek. The excitement and anxiety tangled inside him as he crossed the threshold. Inside, the atmosphere buzzed with passion. Students hustled, laughter echoed, and the aroma of spices wafted through the halls. It felt alive. An instructor approached, warm and welcoming. "Welcome. Are you here for the tour?" he asked. Marcus nodded, swallowing hard. The instructor motioned for him to follow. As they moved through the kitchens, Marcus's heart raced. The sight of students chopping vegetables, sauces simmering, and creativity flourishing made him forget for a moment about his fears. This place is magic, he thought, wonder lighting up his eyes. They passed a gleaming gallery of dishes displayed like artworks. "Could I really learn to create that?" "You look inspired," the instructor said, catching Marcus's gaze. The compliment felt like a lifeline thrown amidst a storm. "Yes. It's just a lot," Marcus admitted, his vulnerability spilling out. The instructor smiled knowingly. "Every chef has walked that path, doubt and all. The key is passion. If you have that, you're already a step ahead." As they wrapped up the tour, Marcus felt something shift within him. Maybe he wasn't just a waiter. Maybe he could become something more. On his way back, his heart felt lighter. He pulled out his phone and snapped a photo of the school, sending it to his family with a message, "I think I've found my place." His heart thrummed with a mix of excitement and fear as he hit send. Would this finally be the start of everything he had ever wanted? He stepped into a small cafe, the clinking of cups and chatter wrapping around him like a warm blanket. But just as he sat down, poring over culinary blogs on his phone, a familiar voice interrupted. "Marcus?" A figure approached. It was Jake, his coworker from the diner. "Hey! What are you doing here?" Marcus grinned, feeling a sense of camaraderie. "I could ask you the same thing," Jake replied, his eyes sparkling with genuine curiosity. "I heard you're thinking about culinary school." "That's huge." Marcus felt a warmth spread through him. "Yeah, I just toured a school." "It felt right," he replied, excitement creeping in. "Right," Jake repeated, a lopsided grin on his face. "That's more than just thinking, man. That's action." As they chatted about his future, doubt slunk closer again, quiet and insidious. What if it didn't work out? Just as Marcus was about to voice his worries, Jake leaned in closer. "Listen, I know you. You have something special. Just don't lose that spark, okay?" For a brief moment, Marcus felt reassured, a small flicker of courage rising within him. But right then, the cafe door swung open, and a couple entered, heads down, voices hushed. In the air, Marcus sensed a shift as they exchanged something confidential with the barista. Curiosity piqued, Marcus glanced over. Suddenly, the couple turned to him, surprise flickering in their eyes. "Are you Marcus? The one we read about?" one of them said, a glimmer of recognition. "What did you hear?" He hesitated, anxiety twisting in his gut. The woman stepped forward, her voice almost a whisper. Your story is changing lives. Will you keep going? Frozen, he blinked. What did this mean for him? And could he really be that spark for someone else? As their eyes locked, Marcus felt a shiver of possibility. Could the weight of his destiny finally lift, or would he stumble before reaching it? The words hung in the air, thick with unspoken hopes and tangled emotions. Marcus couldn't quite process what the couple had said. The cafe around him faded into a blur. The chatter of customers, the sound of spoons clinking against ceramic cups, and even Jake's enthusiastic response dropped off, silenced by the gravity of their gaze. Changing lives? How could I possibly do that? He thought, a whirlwind of doubt swirling back into his mind. He rubbed the back of his neck, a nervous gesture, trying to shake off the sensation that had settled in his chest. What do you mean? He finally managed to ask, voice catching slightly. The man stepped forward, sincerity radiating from him. We read your story online. The one about working at the diner, and your passion for cooking. We were moved by it. It resonated with our own struggles. You have to keep pursuing this, Marcus. You don't realize the impact you're having. Feeling like he was trapped under a spotlight, Marcus glanced around the cafe. A few customers turned to listen, intrigued by the exchange. The pressure of their expectations pressed down hard, and he felt exposed, vulnerable. Wait, my story? I didn't think anyone noticed, he stammered, a flush creeping up his neck. The woman, her eyes glinting with encouragement, held out her hand. It matters. To people like us ordinary folks. You represent so many who are chasing their dreams against all odds. Still caught in disbelief, Marcus hesitated before accepting the hand. What if I fail? He whispered. You won't know until you try. The world needs more people willing to chase their dreams, more people like you, she replied, sincerity cutting through the fog of his apprehension. Suddenly, the cafe felt electric, alive with an energy he had never felt before. As he absorbed their words, a flicker of realization ignited within him. It wasn't just about him anymore. It was about the connection between them, the shared human experience of pushing through challenges. I'll keep going, he finally said, the promise forming as he spoke. It felt right. And freeing. Good. Jake chimed in, eyes sparkling as they both transitioned from audience to participant in this moment. See? You're already making waves. The couple smiled wide, their happy expressions encouraging him further. As they stepped back, the man patted his shoulder. Just remember, Marcus. Every journey needs a beginning. Yours has just started. And we'll be rooting for you. Before they could leave, Jake leaned in closer to Marcus. Dude, this is huge. You need to write about your journey more. People want to hear it. Yeah, maybe I should, Marcus replied, feeling a new rush of possibilities. The thought of sharing his story excited him as much as it terrified him. With the couple departing, he felt a blend of warmth and determination as their conversation echoed in his mind. The way they treated him, as someone impactful and worthy, shifted something deep within. Was he really capable of bettering someone's day, someone's outlook, even their life? As he sat back down, the clatter of coffee cups and the chatter of patrons returned. But this time, it felt different, like a soundtrack to his shifting perspective. His fingers hovered over his phone again, and without thinking twice, he opened a new document. This was at the start of something. He began typing about his dreams, the pressure, and the newfound spark igniting inside him. What if it doesn't come out right? He thought. But that didn't matter anymore. The cafe began to fade into the background as he focused on his words, pouring his soul into each one. Suddenly, a tap on his shoulder broke his flow again. Hey man, Jake said, his expression serious. I just realized you need to know this. There's a community event coming up. They're looking for speakers on personal journeys. You should sign up. Breathless with excitement, Marcus felt the flutter of anxiety but mixed with the thrill of a challenge. Me? Speak? Yeah, why not? It's your chance to inspire others. You're already changing lives. Fingers shaking, he stared at the screen, the blinking cursor urging him onward. The fire ignited deep inside him. Could he truly share that spark with an audience? And as he thought this, the possibilities seemed endless. What if he could inspire not just one couple, but many? The question lifted him higher, as he delved into the new mission forming in his heart. But just as he felt ready, doubt beckoned once more. What if they don't want to hear what I have to say? His resolve wavered just then, uncertainty creeping back in, grappling with his hope. Could he stand up and speak his truth? Or would he let fear hold him back yet again? Marcus sat there, fingers hovering over the screen, heart racing, and the cafe noise swirling around him. Jake's words hung in his mind like a neon sign, bright and demanding attention. Could he really do this? Speak in front of a crowd? Share his story? Each heartbeat felt louder than the last, reminding him of the weight of expectation he had suddenly found himself under. "Simon, Marcus," Jake nudged, leaning closer. "You never know who needs to hear your journey. Who knows? Maybe your story is exactly what someone else is looking for." The sincerity in his friend's voice was comforting, like a hand on his back pushing him forward. Marcus swallowed hard, feeling the lump in his throat. He had always kept his feelings close to his heart, wrapped in layers of self-doubt and fear of judgment. Open up to a crowd? What if they laughed? What if they didn't care? Yet, a small voice inside him uttered a soft what if. What if they found hope in his words? What if just one person felt understood in his struggle? The possibilities fanned the flames of ambition within him, igniting a sense of purpose he hadn't fully embraced until that moment. The warmth from the couple's encouragement echoed in his mind, mixing with the adrenaline of Jake's exhortation. He felt as if he could almost touch the spark of change waiting to be ignited inside the hearts of others. "Okay," he breathed, shaking off the last stranglehold of fear. "Yeah, I'll do it. I'll sign up." Jake's face lit up with joy, and Marcus felt a wave of relief wash over him. He pulled out his phone again, the shiny screen reflecting his newfound resolve. As he clicked on the event's link, the screen flickered with details: a call for stories, a lineup of speakers, and a few inspirational headlines that ignited a simmering courage. It felt like an invitation to something far greater than himself. "Wow, this is real," he said aloud, only half believing it. Images of the venue filled his mind, an auditorium filled with faces, expectant eyes, and hopeful hearts waiting for someone to light the way. He could see the weary and the dreamers all mixed together, perhaps hungry for the same hope that now surged within him. "Are you actually doing this?" Jake asked, eyes wide with excitement. "Dude, this is so inspiring. I can't wait." In that moment, surrounded by the comforting hum of the cafe, Marcus felt more alive than ever. He clicked the button to sign up, heart pounding like a drum, a smile teasing at the corners of his lips. He was stepping into the unknown, his fears still present, but being overshadowed by an exhilarating surge of passion. After registering, Marcus leaned back against the chair, shaking his head in disbelief. This was it. He was diving in. But as quickly as the thrill surged, an afterthought slunk in the daunting task of preparing what he would actually say. What parts of his journey mattered most? What would resonate with his audience? A sudden wave of overwhelm crash-landed. The excitement felt like it could be whisked away any second. Jake, sensing the shift, placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Just be real. Speak from the heart. You've got this." "Yeah," but Marcus began, but his voice trailed off, anxiety creeping in again. What if his truth didn't matter? What if his words got stuck in his throat, lost in the moment? As he wrestled with his thoughts, A familiar warmth wrapped around him, a faint memory of tasting freedom through cooking, through stories shared with customers at the diner. Maybe if I approach it like that. Excitement mixed with trepidation coursed through him once more. It was time to weave his passion into something meaningful, but just where would he start? Could sharing his dreams in front of others truly spark a change? With his heart racing and doubt buzzing in the background, he took a deep breath and picked up his phone again. What would his story become? The screen lit up with a blank document, a canvas waiting for his words. Determined, he began to write, but as he typed, the biggest question loomed overhead: what if he had finally found his true voice, only to have it silenced when it mattered most? The morning sun streamed through Marcus's bedroom window, illuminating the scattered notes and crumpled papers that littered his desk. He hadn't slept much, the nervous energy buzzing in his veins like caffeine. Thoughts raced in loops, each one different from the other, yet all circling back to the same question: what would he say? He glanced at his phone, the blinking cursor casting a taunting glow on the blank document. The anticipation of his upcoming speech churned in his stomach like a tornado. Every possible scenario played out in his mind. Would he freeze? Would he falter at the podium? Intimidated, his fingers hesitated over the keys. Focus on your journey, he whispered to himself, recalling the words Jake had said. Somehow, those two simple words managed to quiet the swarm of doubts. If he could just remember to be himself, maybe everything else would follow. Marcus took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. The sun's warmth seeped into him, and he felt a lightness appear in his chest. He recalled his time working at the diner, the laughter between customers, the comforting aroma of pancakes on a Saturday morning, and the stories shared over cups of coffee. Those moments had meant something. They had changed him. Perhaps he could pull from those experiences. He grabbed a fresh sheet of paper and started jotting down memories. The elderly couple who visited every Tuesday, the little girl who always ordered the same chocolate cake, the single mother finding a brief moment of peace while savoring her slice of pie. Each recollection felt like a stepping stone leading him down a path he had once navigated with clarity. But it wasn't just the pleasant memories that needed to be told. His mind flickered to the tougher parts as well: his struggles with depression, the nights of staring at the ceiling, weighed down by a heaviness he couldn't shake. The duality of his life, the light and the dark, was what made him. It felt vital to represent every piece of himself when he got on that stage. He scribbled furiously, heart racing. I'm more than just a waiter, he wrote. I'm a storyteller, a dreamer who has fallen and gotten back up. I have a voice. The thought coursed through him, igniting a fire he had thought extinguished. People need to hear that it's okay to struggle, to feel lost. Hours flew by as he crafted his narrative, weaving threads of hope through the fabric of his experiences. Eventually, he leaned back in his chair, exhausted yet exhilarated. As he reread his words, an unexpected well of emotion rose within him, a mix of pride and vulnerability. Could sharing this make a difference? He felt a flutter of excitement. This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about everyone who had ever felt alone, who struggled to find their place in the world. He imagined a sea of faces in the audience, individuals yearning for connection. What if his words could provide that? His phone buzzed, jolting him from his trance. It was a message from Jake. Ready for tonight? I can't wait. Marcus looked at the clock. It was already evening. The cafe would be filled with people soon. The simmering anxiety returned momentarily, but this time he was ready. He wasn't just stepping onto the stage to speak. He was stepping into his own story, raw and real. As he dressed, he stood before the mirror, his reflection staring back with determination. Tonight, we make a connection, he declared firmly, and in that moment, he knew he was not just sharing words. He would be sharing hope. Just as he grabbed his keys, a thought slipped into his mind: what if everything he crafted ended up touching someone profoundly? Maybe it was more than just spoken words. It could be a lifeline. His heart raced, but this time it was tea only from nerves. What if, in that crowd, he could ignite a spark of transformation in others? As he stepped outside into the twilight, the buzzing cafe awaited him. Would he truly find his voice tonight, or would fear try to steal it away? The cafe was alive with chatter and laughter, the hum of conversation swirling around as patrons clinked their glasses and shared stories over steaming cups of coffee. Marcus stepped inside, the door swinging shut behind him, sealing off the quiet of the outside world. The warmth of the cafe enveloped him, but it didn't completely quiet the storm brewing within. He walked toward the small stage at the back, a makeshift platform that was now the focal point of his aspirations. The lights shone brightly, illuminating the space where he would soon bare his soul. Jake was already in place, leaning against the bar, his encouraging smile cutting through Marcus's uncertainty. "Hey! You ready for this?" Jake's voice was steady, filled with the kind of confidence that Marcus desperately wished he could borrow. "I think so. I just hope I don't mess this up," Marcus replied, running a hand through his hair. "Just be you. Remember, it's your story," Jake said, giving him a reassuring pat on the back. As he made his way to the stage, Marcus felt the weight of the crowd's gaze upon him. Each face held its own burdens, its own uncertainties. He could sense the anticipation in the air, a tangible thread connecting him to these strangers. Taking a deep breath, he stepped up onto the platform, the wooden boards creaking beneath him. He cleared his throat, the sound echoing in the silence that had fallen over the crowd. "Hi, everyone," he began, his voice trembling slightly but growing stronger with each word. "I'm Marcus, and tonight, I want to share a bit of my journey with you." As he delved into his memories, the words flowed like a river breaking free from a dam. He spoke of the diner, weaving tales of laughter and tears, recounting faces that had painted his life in vivid colors. He didn't shy away from the darker moments, the shadows that lingered when the lights went dim. With every story he told, he felt the audience nodding along, their eyes wide and filled with understanding. "I've struggled with feeling lost, feeling like I didn't fit," and he caught a glimpse of someone wiping a tear away, the emotional impact resonating deeper than he had anticipated. "But it's during those times that I've found my voice. I learned it's okay to stumble, to feel pain. It's part of being human." The connection in the room shifted. It was palpable now. People leaned in, hanging on his every word. "Each of you has a story too. A journey that's uniquely yours. And sharing that story can transform not just you, but all those around you." He paused, letting the weight of his words settle. And then, an adrenaline rush surged through him, a realization that this was more than just a speech. It was a call to arms, a challenge for everyone to embrace their truth. "Let us stand together and acknowledge our struggles, because they are what shape us. They make us who we are." The applause erupted, a wave of encouragement washing over Marcus as he concluded. Heart racing, he felt a sense of freedom he had never known before. But amidst the cheers, he noticed an elderly woman at the front, tears glistening in her eyes, a soft smile crossing her face. He locked eyes with her, and in that moment something profound shifted within him. What would it mean for her? Was she on her own journey of healing too? After he left the stage, soaking in the afterglow of his vulnerability, Jake rushed over. "You did it. You nailed it." The excitement in his friend's voice surged like a current around them. Yet, just as Marcus began to feel the joy of the moment, a thought sparked. If his words impacted even one person, where might that lead? As the audience mingled, he wondered, what would it mean if the stories continued to flow, inspiring others to share, to connect, to come together in their struggles? But then again, he worried. What if the moment was fleeting? What if he could never recapture the courage he had just summoned? He shook off the doubt, smiling as he moved back into the crowd, ready to embrace the support that surrounded him. Little did he realize that one specific conversation would ignite a new chapter in his story, one filled with unexpected connections, challenges, and triumphs. All he needed to do was take a step forward once again. What awaited him next could change everything. Marcus stepped down from the stage, his heart still racing from his performance. The buzz of the cafe wrapped around him, faces merging into a kaleidoscope of smiles and applause. Yet, one voice called out louder than the others. "Marcus! Over here!" It was the elderly woman he had locked eyes with earlier. She wove her way through the crowd, moving slowly but deliberately. There was something warm and inviting about her, a gentle strength that made him feel instantly at ease. I just wanted to say thank you." Her voice wavered slightly, heavy with emotion. "Your words touched me deeply. I haven't shared my story for so long, but you inspired me." "Really?" he breathed, surprised. "I'm so glad to hear that." She smiled through her tears, and he noticed the wrinkles that danced across her face, each one a story carved by time. "I lost my husband a year ago. I haven't been able to find my way since." Her gaze flickered, lost in remembrance, then returned to meet his. "But hearing you talk about finding your voice, it resonated with me. I never thought I could feel that way again." Marcus felt a swell of empathy. "It's okay to feel lost. It's part of our journey. Sharing your story could help you heal." The words tumbled out of him, sincere and raw. "I think I will," she said with a newfound determination sparkling in her eyes. "I think I'll try." Just then, Jake joined them, slapping a hand on Marcus's shoulder. "What did I miss? You're already preaching to the choir, huh?" "Just encouraging this lovely lady to share her story," Marcus replied, beaming at her. Jake turned his full attention to the woman. "You should? Stories have power, you know." With laughter and lightness, they spoke a little longer before the woman excused herself, saying she needed to reflect on their conversation. As she walked away, Marcus felt fulfilled, as if a thread had been woven between their lives, hinting at something greater. "Man, that was something else!" Jake exclaimed, pulling Marcus's attention back to the crowd. "Do you feel that energy? It's electric. I knew you had it in you." Marcus chuckled, shaking off the remaining nerves. It felt surreal. "I never expected to affect someone like that." Expect the unexpected. That's the beauty of this. Jake took a sip of his drink, his eyes scanning the room. "But I have a surprise for you. I spoke with the owner, and he wants to feature you next week. A special storytelling night. Just think, you could create a space for more voices, not just yours." Excitement burst into Marcus's chest, a quick thud of adrenaline that intermingled with anxiety. "What? Really? I mean, wow." "Yeah. And I told him about your idea to have others share their stories too. It could be a whole community thing." Creativity sparked in Marcus's mind, weaving threads of connection. "We could create a platform. We could really make a difference." "Exactly." But Jake leaned in, his voice softening. "No one is going to step up if you don't lead the charge again." Marcus nodded, the weight of that responsibility settling on his shoulders. "I know. It's just I'm scared." "Then channel that fear. Use it. Just like tonight." Jake grinned, nudging him playfully. "You won't stumble. Not now." With those words, Marcus felt a wave of determination wash over him. "You're right." He scanned the crowd, quietly daring himself to look for connections, a ripple of influence just waiting to unfold. But what if he didn't just lead? What if others felt they had something valuable to contribute too? That lingering hope of community stirred within him, igniting a fire he never knew he had. As night fell deeper and laughter echoed, he realized he stood at a precipice, a doorway opening to something more significant. He could now be a beacon for others like him. But what would it take for him to fully embrace this new role? Would he find the courage to lead? His heart pulsed, full of anticipation, knowing the journey was just beginning. Marcus stood in the bustling cafe, a whirl of dreams and possibilities spinning in his mind. The laughter and chatter around him felt like music, but the excitement coursing through his veins drowned it out. He was on the brink of something life-changing. "Hey, Marcus!" Jake's voice cut through his thoughts, snapping him back to reality. "Let us brainstorm ideas for the storytelling night." "Yeah, let us do it," Marcus replied, his voice a mix of eagerness and trepidation. They settled into a corner table, the dim lighting creating an intimate atmosphere despite the noise. Jake pulled out his phone, tapping notes, as Marcus began to share his vision. "What if we invite people from different backgrounds?" he suggested. "Everyone has a story, right? We could highlight different cultures and experiences." "Absolutely." Jake's eyes lit up. "And maybe we could have a theme each week? Focus on topics like love, loss, or resilience. It could really bring people together." Marcus felt a thrill at the thought. Every week could be a new opportunity for someone to find their voice. "That's it. We could even bring in local artists to illustrate the stories as they're being told. Make it a whole experience." "Exactly. And we can promote it on social media." "Stories could go beyond the cafe," Jake added, sipping his coffee like it was fuel for their burgeoning idea. As they discussed plans, Marcus's mind wandered back to the elderly woman. He couldn't shake off the feeling that she was the only one who needed this space to share. What if we created a safe zone for vulnerable stories? Like a support group aspect? People could come to talk about their struggles. Jake paused, his gaze thoughtful. That's incredible. Healing through storytelling. It could be therapeutic. The act of sharing has power, the connection it creates. Suddenly Marcus's excitement wavered. What if they don't show up? What if no one wants to share? Jake chuckled softly, leaning forward. "You've just got to take that leap. Remember, someone stepped up for you tonight. You can be that person for others." The challenge hung in the air like a bold promise. Marcus took a deep breath, letting the weight of what Jake said settle in. It wasn't just about him anymore. It was about creating a space where others could feel seen, somewhere every voice mattered. Throughout the rest of the evening, Marcus's thoughts churned with ideas, but it was the image of the older woman that kept surfacing. Her smile, her tears. She was ready to step out of her shadows. He couldn't let his fear cripple that potential. As the cafe began to empty, and the waitstaff cleaned up, Marcus felt a sense of urgency burning in him. "I want to reach out to her," he said suddenly. "I have to let her know about this night. She deserves a platform, just like anyone else." "Then let us do it," Jake encouraged. "We can put up flyers around the neighborhood and personally invite people. Make it feel genuine." Just then, the door swung open, a crisp nighttime breeze sweeping in. A familiar face entered the cafe, an older man, with a warm smile, his presence filling the room. Marcus recognized him from the quiet corner table where he often sat listening to the performances. "Marcus! Jake!" the man called out, his voice carrying an air of authority. "I heard about what you want to do. I want to help." Marcus's heart raced again. There was hope, there was enthusiasm, and he felt anchored by this sudden support. "What do you mean?" Marcus asked, intrigued. "I'm a retired community organizer," the man said, his eyes sparkling with passion. "I've been waiting for someone to spark change. Let us make this big. Let us bring everyone together." Marcus exchanged a glance with Jake, both stunned and excited. The universe seemed to be aligning, but as they began to brainstorm with the man, a creeping doubt gnawed at Marcus's heart. Did he really know what he was getting into? The night lingered on, ideas swirling like the coffee steam rising around them. Each glance from Jake, every word the man spoke ignited flames of ambition, but doubt still lurked in the shadows. With dreams and fears intertwined, Marcus wondered if he truly had the strength to lead this charge, and if he could gather the voices that needed to be heard. Would he be able to rise to the occasion and embrace the challenge before him? How far could this journey take them all? The day of the first storytelling night arrived, and Marcus woke up with an electric blend of excitement and dread coursing through him. The sun filtered through his window, casting a warm glow that felt like a promise. But with it also came the question that had been nagging at him for days. What if no one showed up? What if he failed? He shook off the doubts, pushing himself to get ready. As he dressed, memories of last week's success coursed through his mind like a movie reel. The look of hope in the elderly woman's eyes lingered vividly, as did the applause he had received after sharing his journey. If he could inspire even one person, perhaps he could do it again. Outside, the city buzzed with activity, cars honking, people chatting, life bursting everywhere. It was as if the world was rooting for him, encouraging him to take that bold step into the unknown. Arriving at the cafe, he found the table set and colorful flyers announcing the evening's event adorning the walls. "Hey, Marcus. Ready?" Jake's cheerful voice broke through his thoughts, bringing a sense of comfort. "I think so," Marcus replied, determination edging his voice. He could feel the weight of not just his dreams, but those of everyone who had shared their struggles with him. As the clock ticked closer to the start time, he watched people filter in, some familiar faces from the diner, curious locals, even strangers who had heard about the night. The cafe began to fill, the vibrant chatter and laughter weaving a community tapestry. Marcus couldn't shake a sudden thrill of wonder. Was this really happening? Would people share their stories? As he fielded hugs and emotions from familiar faces, an older man shuffled in the one who had expressed interest in joining their movement. "Marcus," the man called out, exuding warmth. "I'm glad to see the crowd. This is amazing." "Thank you so much for coming," Marcus said, the gratitude washing over him. "I really hope people connect tonight." "You've already brought them together," the man replied with a reassuring smile. As the event began, Marcus stood by the stage, his heart pounding. Having been on that stage before, he understood the transformative power of pouring one's soul into words. "Welcome, everyone," he finally called out, feeling the collective breath of the audience catch. "Tonight is about connection, vulnerability, and storytelling. Let us embrace our journeys together." As he encouraged the first storyteller to join him on stage, a wave of nervous chatter rippled through the crowd. The first person, a hesitant woman, stepped up and shared her story of loss and rediscovery, her voice shaking yet strong. She spoke of her late husband and how cooking had become her sanctuary, her therapy. Listening to her words felt like watching a flower bloom. Every tale delivered stitched threads of empathy and shared experience. One by one, others stepped up, pouring their hearts into the air, transforming sadness into strength, vulnerability into courage. It became clear this was not just Marcus's event. This was a celebration of life's ups and downs. Tears glistened, laughter rang out, and a gentle camaraderie blossomed among strangers. As the night unfolded, Marcus watched in awe as people connected, offering nods and smiles of understanding. His own heart swelled as he thought of how far he had come from being just a server to now connecting souls through shared experiences. By the time the last speaker stepped down from the stage, the cafe was alive with a powerful energy. People lingered, eager to discuss the stories and share their own journeys. They approached Marcus with gratitude, eyes glimmering with newfound hope. "Thank you for creating this space," one young man said, a soft smile framing his face. "I've never felt more understood." Marcus could hardly believe what he had seen. He decreated a spark. People were lighting up with inspiration, and the fears that once clung heavily to him faded. When Jake joined him afterward, his eyes elated, You did it. People are transformed. We did it, Marcus corrected, throwing back a smile. As the evening transitioned into an outpouring of connections, laughter, and shared dreams, Marcus finally felt the weight of his fears lift. He had not only found his voice, but he had also helped others find theirs. Leaving the cafe that night, the cool breeze greeted him like an old friend, promising more adventures ahead. Marcus felt a radiant smile spread across his face. The journey was just beginning, and his heart brimmed with the promise of change, connection, and community. This was his story, but it was also theirs. Now, it was time to keep the momentum going. He could already envision the next event, and how it could grow into something larger. A sanctuary for storytellers, a meeting place for hearts. As he stood on the corner of the bustling street, he turned to his friend and said, "Let us keep this going. We need to give others the chance to shine." Jake nodded, determination shining in his eyes. "Absolutely. We'll make it even bigger." And just like that, surrounded by the heartbeat of the city, Marcus stepped into the future, ready to embrace whatever came next. He had realized the incredible potential within both for himself and for countless others waiting to be heard. Now more than ever, he believed the power of community was real. Encouraged, inspired, and eager, Marcus was ready to embrace his place in it. Join us in this incredible journey of transformation, inspiration, and connection. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will change lives. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others find this message. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending below. We want to hear your story. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation and feel that spark of hope themselves. Spread the love.